Okay. Hello, students, social workers, or social work students, whatever you prefer to go by. Here's a quick video with tips and tricks that might help you to succeed better whilst you're on your social work studies, internships, or placements. Okay, so tip number one is your mental health services for yourself. Get some in place. That's the tip. Uh, there's so many different things that you can put in place. Counseling, for example, you can get free counseling on websites like 7cups.com. There's student well-being services, and this is so important because when you come into the profession, you're going to come in after having experienced adversity and trauma, right? You're going to be helping vulnerable people with multiple traumas themselves. And as you know, there's a thing called vicarious trauma. I hope I'm saying that right. I might not be, but it's the idea that by working with people with multiple traumas, you might take on some of that in yourself, integrate it into your system, and so you need something to help you manage your trauma and their trauma as well. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay. Next thing is positivity. Oh my goodness. What is it up with that word coming up all the time nowadays, right? So here we're talking about having a positive attitude towards your studies and your work, right? And especially the scholarly things like research, academic things, writing, and for me, I came into the profession with a lot of aversion towards those things. Like, I was that child who didn't like school, didn't want to engage, didn't like to participate. But it's so important because you might come in with a lot of skills, knowing how to help people. But research, for example, is going to expand that, is going to make you even better at that because you're getting more knowledge, you're getting more skills, you're learning different ways to do it, you're expanding your awareness. So learn to be positive towards research, writing, reading, and it's really going to make your grades much better and help you pass as well when you love what you are doing. I'm not saying that, like I said, you can just do that and start to love it, but learn to love it somehow, somewhere. Okay? So that thing I'm gonna talk about is friendliness. Now, what do I mean by friendliness? It's a feeling of warmth and affection that you can have towards a diverse range of people. Because believe it or not, maybe you've already experienced it, there is going to be conflict, tension, miscommunication, real clashes between people around you as a social work student and as a practitioner. I kid you not, during my classrooms, there were students were getting very aggressive with each other, like nearly about to fight. Yeah. And what was very helpful for me to maintain a sense of peace was that even though person A on the left was fighting with person B and there was tension between them, from me, I felt joyous towards them and joyous towards the other person. So here you had like a hostile, confrontational environment, and I still felt a high energy and happy, yeah, because I felt real friendliness towards these people. Okay, so we won't say much more about that one. I think we are on tip number 4. Okay, and this links in perfectly with tip number 4 actually because my memory is not always exacting. I can lose track of things sometimes, but this pertains to tip number 4, which is imperfections. This is having universal positive regard for yourself in spite of your imperfections. You always feel self esteem, self confidence, even though you're stuttering in videos, even though you're forgetting things, you feel really positive about yourself. This does not mean you dismiss or ignore your imperfections. What it means is that you work on your imperfections, but alongside it, you still feel okay, it's okay, I have them, and I still love myself despite having them, and I'm going to work on them. Yeah? So it's really important to have that because you're a human being. You're going to come into your studies, into the profession with loads of imperfections. They're not going to just go away. There might be lifelong imperfections that you need to keep working on. So well done for being positive towards yourself. Right, okay. I think we're on number 5 now. Might not be, but hey ho. So let's talk about time management. Time management is symptomatic, right, isn't it? Because there's so many external factors that limit time. Family, circumstances, your mental health and your physical health. So much to it. Your job, maybe outside of the social work qualification, your responsibilities as a mother, father, a daughter, yeah, son, okay? Right. There's things that you can't control that are going to affect your time management. The tip here is to find things that you can control. And for example, using other people to remind you that's something that you can control. You can have friends who remind you about your deadlines. Social networks, very important. Secondly, there's tools. For example, I did mindfulness training during my studies, and that was so instrumental. Mindfulness training was enhancing my discipline, and it did tremendously. It helped in the sense that, for example, when it was time to get up, and I had that feeling of resistance whilst I was lying in bed, that, oh, I don't want to get up, oh, right now, really, I could withstand that feeling and still get up anyway. And I call it training because it's not an intellectual exercise which uses willpower. It's training for months, for like, let's say 6 months, every day for 30 minutes. You sit with those uncomfortable, resistive feelings, you get used to them, you get acclimatized to them, so that when they come up for that split second when you're about to get up, you can withstand them. So yeah, you can do training to help you with the things that you can control. Yeah. So if you want to try mindfulness training, you can go on this charity that I used called sirimangalo.com, because they do it for free and I always recommend it because I like it. sirimangalo.com. They had free mindfulness home meditation courses. Yeah. Anyway, and let me know if you know any tips in terms of time management. The next thing that I would like to talk about in terms of social work students in classrooms and as practitioners is being eclectic. Eclecticness was something that my practice educator told me about, and it was such a useful concept. It's the idea that you can be expansive, like we come like to the Big Bang and we go, we really expand and we go in all sorts of directions. We break down barriers, we go out of our comfort zones, we try all sorts of things. We are expansive. And this applies for research, casework, the friends that we make, the professionals that we link with. We really just go above, everywhere and beyond, all over the place. For example, with research, I started to go beyond the curriculum, look at fields like business and economics, and a lot of my theories and models come from there. Yeah. For example, the theory of boundary rationality is from that sort of economics business field, and it's the idea that any decision that you make is time limited. There's a time that you must make it by, and it's based on the research and the information that you have access to up until that time. It gave me so much peace of mind because it meant I could only make the decision which was best at that time period and based on that information that I could access so far. There is no perfect decision, but the best one for that time, and that's a given information at that time. Yeah. There's that sense, so I could feel the stress melt off me when I learnt that theory from that field. So you can see how beautiful it is when you really just are expansive, look at areas that you wouldn't normally sort of go outside the box a little bit. Anyway, that's it. So I hope that's been a little bit useful, and I wish you so much luck, and I think some of these tips would be helpful if you take them on board. Okay, bye.